Hello, everyone. So I'm back with the analysis of another poem, and this one is called Rain on the Roof by Coates Kinney. Coates Kinney was born in 1826 in New York. He was an American politician, journalist, lawyer, and he was also a senator for a short time in Ohio, in Cincinnati. He also taught for some time, and it was during his teaching years that he wrote a number of poems. And Rain on the Roof is his most popular work. So, before we look at the poem, let's look at the title. Rain on the Roof is a very simple title and yet very telling. The poet definitely wants us to think about rain, the feelings that it evokes. Does it make you feel happy or sad? He wants us to realize the power of rain. He wants us to think about the music that rain creates, especially against the roof, the melody that rain creates. Does it remind you of certain people or things or places? So let's start reading this beautiful poem. When the humid shadows hover over all the starry spheres, and the melancholy darkness gently weeps in rainy tears, what a bliss to press the pillow of a cottage chamber bed and lie listening to the patter of the soft rain overhead. Coming back to the first two lines. When the humid shadow hovers over all the starry spheres. So, humid shadows, of course, are metaphorical of the dark clouds that are moisture laden. They are filled with rainwater and they hover, they move around over all the starry spheres. So, definitely, the poet is talking about the night sky that is full of stars. And at that point of time, suddenly it becomes overcast. We see these dark clouds that are filled with rainwater and they're moving around these beautiful stars, these beautiful heavenly bodies. And the melancholy darkness gently weeps in rainy tears. Melancholy means sad, and the darkness is personified here by the poet, calling it that the darkness was feeling sad and it gently weeps. Darkness releases its sadness by weeping in the form of rain. So when the clouds actually shed their water, it seems like the clouds are crying, or the darkness is crying and it's weeping. The poet has made the use of assonance in the second line by saying starry spheres. The repetition of the S sound or the hissing sound is also called sibilance, and you will see that stated in the next slide. He's also incorporated the use of transferred epithet, the definition of which you'll see in the next slide. Here, melancholy darkness is the use of transferred epithet. The darkness itself is not melancholic, but the poet probably is in a gloomy mood because of the dark clouds and the ambience that has been created by the dark clouds. What a bliss to press the pillow of a cottage chamber bed and lie listening to the patter of the soft rain overhead. So, even though the ambience was sad and gloomy and dark, but when it finally rains, it has a contrast effect. The poet is overjoyed and feels blessed by this beautiful rain. At this point of time when it's raining, the poet is comfortably in his cottage. He's cozily tucked in his bed. He has the luxury to press his head against the soft pillow and listen to the rain falling on the roof. And we can tell that he's absolutely elated to listen to this music of the rain, because he's used enjambment in the last four lines of the first stanza. He hasn't used any pauses in at the end of the lines, which means he's overjoyed and happy, and therefore he can't contain it in himself. So there he lies blissfully, joyfully in his bed and listening to the patter. So the poet uses onomatopoeia, which means words that sound like themselves. For example, splash, buzz, whip. So here, when the rain is falling on the roof, the pitter patter of the rain against the roof creates this melody that the poet is enjoying, and it lifts his spirit. It probably heals him from the dark, gloomy ambience that he felt before. Let's start with the second stanza. Every tinkle on the shingles has an echo in the heart, and a thousand dreamy fancies into busy being start, and a thousand recollections weave their air threads into woof as I listen to the patter of the rain upon the roof. So the poet here starts with onomatopoeia. He says the music that the rain creates against the shingles is like this tinkling sound. It's like a short, light, ringing sound, which has a lasting effect in the poet's heart. It resounds in his heart. Shingles, of course, are the wood or metal sheets that are overlapped and placed in a row on the roof, as you can see in the slides. And the power of this music is such that it evokes a thousand dreams and fantasies into the busy mind of the poet. Not only dreams and fancies, but the poet also feels nostalgic, and the music of the rain evokes many abundant memories in his mind. And they're like these beautiful threads that entwine, they weave, or they come together and form this woof, this fabric. So that is the power of this melody that the rain creates against the roof. The powerful poetic tools that the poet has used in this stanza, of course, are onomatopoeia, describing the sound of the rain, tinkle, patter, it all adds to the auditory imagery. It also conveys to the reader clearly that the sound that the rain is making. And the poet repeats the phrase and a thousand in order to emphasize the number of dreams and fantasies and memories that flood his mind at this point of time. And of course, we have dreamy fancies. It's a transferred epithet where the fancies are not dreamy, but the poet himself is transported into this land of dreams and fantasies because of the music of the rain. Coming to the last stanza of the poem. Now in memory comes my mother, as she used to years agone, to regard the darling dreamers ere she left them till the dawn. Oh, I feel her fond look on me as I list to this refrain, which is played upon the shingles by the patter of the rain. So, out of all the beautiful memories that have flooded the poet's mind, there's one memory that stands out for the poet, and that is of his mother. So, his mother would usually come at night and she would tuck him and his siblings into bed. So the poet is reminded of the love and affection that his mother poured on him when he was a child. Darling dreamers, of course, are metaphorical of the poet and probably his siblings. The mother would come; she would cozily tuck these little children into bed and say goodnight to them, kiss them goodnight before she left them to sleep till morning. In the next line, we see that the poet exclaims because he's overwhelmed by this memory. He's missing his mother, he's missing the love and affection of his mother, and he says, you know, the music of the rain, it's making that memory come alive. He says, I can at this moment, I can feel her fond look on me. I can feel my mother's gentle love. I can feel her looking on me as I listen to this refrain. Refrain is a repetition of sounds, and here, of course, it is a repetition of the pitter patter of the rain against the shingles. So the music of the rain is so powerful. It makes the poet nostalgic. It reminds him of his beautiful golden childhood and his precious time with his mother when she doted on the poet and his siblings. Coming to the poetic devices, we see the use of enjambment in lines 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, because the poet is emphasizing on the gentle love that his mother had for him. He's overwhelmed by that nostalgic feeling, and of course, the beautiful music of rain. Darling dreamers are metaphorical of the poet and his siblings. We have the use of consonants like feel her fawn, darling dreamers, my mother, again to add to the auditory imagery so that the poem sounds beautiful to the readers. So, in a nutshell, it was dark, but then suddenly, when it rained, the rain soothed the busy mind of the poet. It lifted his spirits. It reminded him of his mother, a very precious person in his life. And he's thankful for reliving those beautiful moments because of the music of the rain. In the last slide, I thought I'd spend a few minutes on the poetic device called transferred epithet, if it's not clear. The definition, of course, is that it describes the qualities of a noun other than a person or a thing. So there are a few examples here. Let's look at the first one. I had a wonderful day. So the day, of course, cannot be wonderful, but it's the person who had the wonderful day. He's the one who experienced the wonderful day. The second one, cruel bars. The bars itself are not cruel, but it is the person who installed those bars in the prison. His intentions are cruel. He is being described as a cruel person. Again, sleepless night. The night itself is not sleepless, but it is the person who is having insomnia. It's the person who is sleepless during the night. Suicidal sky. Again, the sky is not feeling suicidal, but it's the person who is feeling gloomy and suicidal. So I hope these simple examples make it clear. And I'll see you in the next vlog with another poem. And till then, study hard and be good. Bye.